I never believed in aliens. Not really. I mean, I watched all the documentaries, read all the conspiracy theories, but in my heart, I thought they were just stories humans told to feel small in a universe far bigger than we could imagine. That illusion shattered the moment I set foot in the asteroid colony of Keros 9, and I wish I could tell you I was prepared, but I wasn't even close. It began the day I found the diary. I had been assigned to Keros 9 as a cultural liaison for the Terran Mining Alliance. My job was simple: observe, report, and occasionally mediate disputes between miners and the local alien population. Officially, we were there to study rare crystalline deposits, but unofficially, the colony had always been a strange place. The alien species, known as the Lurelians, were notoriously elusive, rarely interacted with humans unless absolutely necessary. Their society was built on rigid protocols, telepathy, and, from what I had gathered, a level of sophistication that made us look like cavemen in comparison. The diary wasn't mine. I stumbled upon it one night while inspecting one of the abandoned observation decks. The pages were filled with intricate sketches and handwritten notes in a language that looked like flowing calligraphy, yet I could read some fragments as if the universe itself wanted me to understand. Thoughts are fragile. Secrets are stronger. Beware the listener who never speaks. Curiosity, which had been my guiding principle since childhood, got the better of me. I opened it and began to read. Every entry I devoured seemed like a window into someone else's mind. And yet, when I closed the diary, I felt a strange residue of unease, a hum in the back of my skull, like someone or something was already aware that I had peeked inside. The first encounter happened 3 days later. I was walking to the crystalline fields near the colony's edge, where the mineral veins glowed faintly in hues of blue and violet. The air there shimmered with static energy. That's when I saw her. She was tall. No, impossibly tall. Her skin glimmering faintly like molten silver, eyes a deep, liquid violet that seemed to pierce straight through me. She wore what I can only describe as ceremonial armor, sleek and organic, like it had grown around her body rather than being made of metal. My first instinct was to greet her politely. My second instinct was to run. Neither happened. Instead, she spoke directly into my mind, not with words, but with thoughts. They were soft, flowing, and impossibly intimate. "You've been reading my words," she said, and I froze. How do you know?" I stammered aloud, though I knew she could hear it only through my mind. "All thoughts leave traces," she replied. "Even yours. You cannot hide your curiosity or your fear." It felt like she had touched every memory I had, every secret, every fleeting emotion. And for the first time, I realized just how vulnerable I was. The diary, the sketches, my private observations, they were no longer mine. They had crossed a boundary I didn't know existed. Over the next week, I tried to avoid her. I wandered the colony under the guise of work, hoping she would leave me alone. But it was useless. She appeared when I least expected it, sometimes silently observing from the crystal ridges, other times waiting at the corridors of the habitation domes. And always she knew. She didn't speak with words often. Instead, she shared visions, flashes of the Lurelian world, their history, their fears. I learned that her name was Althira, princess of the Keros lineage, the last of her kind capable of unrestricted thought reading. The Lurelians had created her as both a protector and a bridge between their species and others. But she was lonely, burdened by the weight of knowing everything yet sharing nothing. I couldn't tell anyone about her. Even if I tried, no one would believe me. My reports were already peppered with minor anomalies and observations that defied logic. This would only mark me as unstable. But I had to know more. And slowly, I began to speak to her, not through words, but through thoughts. I never realized how exhausting it would be to converse without words. Every idea I tried to keep secret leaked out, every hesitation, every doubt. And yet, for some reason, she didn't judge me. She listened, sometimes amused, sometimes pensive, always patient. Then came the night the diary disappeared. I had left it on my bunk, intending to study the last entries in private. When I returned, it was gone. No trace. No ash. Nothing to indicate it had ever existed. My panic spiked, not just because the diary was lost, but because I had poured my deepest thoughts into it, thoughts I hadn't even dared to speak aloud. Had she taken it? Was it destroyed? Althira appeared that night, as if summoned by my distress. "It was never yours to keep," she whispered inside my mind. "You sought understanding without offering consent. The diary had to vanish. Now we begin anew." The new conversation was different. No longer just observation. It was interaction on an intimate, almost dangerous level. She could read not just thoughts, but intent, fear, desire, the kind of raw emotional truths humans hide even from themselves. And I felt exposed, like standing naked in a storm of lightning and wind, entirely at her mercy. Days blurred into nights. Work became secondary. I wandered the crystal fields, learning to think in ways that wouldn't betray me, ways to communicate without spilling everything. And Althira taught me in return, not with lectures, but with visions. She showed me the ancient wars of the Lurilians, the tragedies of their empires, the slow decay of their once vast knowledge. She showed me kindness, cruelty, love, and loss in forms I had never imagined possible. One evening we sat, though not physically, amidst the luminous crystal ridges, and she asked me a question that stopped my mind cold. "If I could see every secret in your heart, and you could see mine, could we still trust each other?" I hesitated, not because I doubted her, but because the answer was frighteningly complex. I wanted to say yes, but every hidden fear, every private desire, every shame I carried screamed against that honesty. And yet, I didn't lie. "I think we could." I thought back, and she smiled, an expression that somehow conveyed both relief and amusement. That night, the boundary between us shifted. Althira shared a secret she had never revealed to another Lurilian or human. She showed me a fragment of the mind nexus, a place where all thoughts of the Caro's lineage were stored, a repository of memory, emotion, and prophecy. And then, without warning, she allowed me to enter. It was terrifying. I could hear thousands of thoughts, some alive, some echoes, all overlapping in a chaotic symphony. Yet amidst the chaos, hers was distinct, clear, undeniable. And I understood why she had to read my mind. The diary, my words, were irrelevant compared to the unfiltered truth of thought. In that nexus, I also glimpsed the fate of Caro's 9, a pending disaster, one that could annihilate the colony. And for the first time, I realized my role wasn't just as an observer. I had to act, or risk being complicit in total destruction. I woke the next morning with the weight of knowledge pressing down on me. Every nerve, every instinct screamed that I should flee. But I didn't. Althira found me on the ridge overlooking the colony's core. "Do you understand now?" she asked, though it wasn't a question. "Knowledge is never free. Secrets carry consequences. Your diary was a symptom. Your thoughts, a key. The choice is yours." I nodded, though the gravity of the decision was almost unbearable. Together, we devised a plan to avert the disaster, drawing on both human ingenuity and Lurelian insight. It involved reprogramming the mining drones, recalibrating the energy conduits, and most unnervingly, entrusting part of my consciousness to the mind nexus temporarily. The process was excruciating. I felt my sense of self stretch, fragment, and reassemble under the guidance of her mind. Every moment, I feared I would be lost entirely, subsumed by Lurelian consciousness. Yet when it ended, I was whole, and Caro's 9 was saved. In the aftermath, we remained connected, not as master and servant, not as observer and subject, but as equals in understanding, a human and a Lurelian princess, bound by knowledge, trust, and a shared secret that no diary could ever contain. The diary never returned, nor would it. I understood now. It had served its purpose. It had drawn her attention, tested my intentions, and allowed a bridge to form between us. And perhaps, in the grand cosmic design, that was more valuable than any words I could write. I never recorded my experiences in any formal report. There was no need. Some knowledge is too fragile, too profound, to survive ink on paper. But sometimes when the crystal fields glow just right under Caro's 9's twin moons, I feel her presence in my thoughts. A reminder that some secrets are alive, some minds are connected, and some diaries, no matter how carefully kept, were never meant to survive. And maybe, just maybe, that is enough.